Hello, this is Mr. Hornsby83 with the back-to-back part 2 of my reviews, and I'm doing the Simpsons Family Guy crossover. And one thing I didn't like about this, I think they should have went with both opening credits mixed together, but they just went with the Family Guy one. So. But it starts out with Peter wanting to be a coming in from all the other families watch TV. Peter comes in and he's reading a cartoon from a newspaper, and he's talking about how bad it is, and then he talks about being a cartoonist. Then he starts doing cartoons, and they start becoming very popular in that. Then he starts getting into some controversial cartoons, which start causing him trouble, and basically gets him chased out of Cohort. And then, so they're headed, or I guess they're going to try to find another town until the freaking controversy blows over and all that. And they stop at a gas station, and they go in, I guess, to pay for gas and get the food and that. And come out and their car's getting taken. And my original thoughts on it, I'll say here later on. But there was only one person I thought that took that car, but it turned out it wasn't him. But so then they start walking and trying to catch up to the car. And then they walk up to a sign that says Springfield. And then it's kind of metamorphosizing, from the Family Guy design to the Simpsons design, which has power plants and all the other stuff that you see in the opening credits for Simpsons now. So then they go in Springfield. They're walking through the town and talking about how nice it looks and how peaceful it looks and this and that. And then they go to a booze, I don't know if it's a poo or a booze, quickie mart, and they want some donuts. But they ask him if he'll give them some donuts, and he tells them how much it'll cost, and then they're like, well, our money got taken with our car. So they explained to him before, they asked for the donuts, but their car got taken. And then after he tells them no, he's not going to give them the donuts and that, you hear a voice say, I'll pay for their donuts. And they kind of teased it, like, it was Homer's voice that said it. And then you see another guy that kind of looks similar to Homer. And they're like, oh, you're so sweet. And the guy says, I'm not the one that said it. And then you get Homer Simpson coming from the shadows. And so I make a joke about because the other guy that looked like Homer was coming out of the shadows in the quickie one. And I forgot who it was, either Stewie, Brian, or one of them talked about how, might even been Peter, talked about, they sure do got a lot of shadows. And like, Homer comes up, introduces himself to them, and they introduce themselves to him, and then he pays for their donuts. And they tell him the situation and he takes them to the house to meet the rest of the family. And then, all the characters are clicking. They're clicking with Lisa. Peter and Homer starting to click. Marge. Maggie and Chris were clicking because, she takes a pacifier and she takes it back and then tries to take it again, but then she gives him his own. And Lois and Marge are starting to click. So, and then Marge says, well, we probably won't see Bart because he's in camp. And then next thing you know, boom, Bart kicks in the door talking about he got kicked out of camp or something he did. And I'm thinking, you know what, I bet they go out front. Bart's the one that has the car, but it turned out it wasn't him. But then he's, talking with them and introducing himself, and they're introducing him. And Stewie takes a liking to Bart right away, so, they clicked, and you know how Bart is, and you definitely know how Stewie is. But, the only ones that really didn't click was Santa's little helper and Brian. But that's mainly because Brian's an intelligent dog, and Sam's well helps is just an ordinary dog. So, yeah, that's the only thing that didn't click. And you get a scene where Brian's taking him for a walk, and then they let him off the leash, and he just causes all kinds of mayhem. And Brian spends half the episode trying to tell the Simpson family what happened. But Peter and Homer really made this episode hilarious. I mean, because really, yeah, there were funny moments with Meg and Lisa, but there was more, that, special moments between them two where they're like being real palsy-wowsy and stuff, and Stewie and Bart being palsy-wowsy. But all the shenanigans, Homer and Peter, I'm like, wow. And then we also got some throw-ins from like American Dad, the Cleveland Show, and Cleveland was part of Family Guy also. Peter mentions Quagmire. I don't know if you really see him until toward the end, but it really, and then they get to where they're at, and then there's a part where Bart typically calling Moe's bar and playing a prank on him, and Stewie, even though it was a crazy, I just busted out laughing. Bart's like, here, you try it. Stewie takes the phone, calls Moe's bar. He says, hey, Moe, your sister's being raped. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen nothing that funny than anything on TV this week other than the Jax moment where he's like, oh, hey, Mom, after he just went and killed some one-liners. Like, oh yeah. But it was just hilarious, I mean, that's like, it wasn't even a prank. He was like, your sister's being raped. It was just funny, but then we get to the part where they're at Moe's bar, Homer and Peter and him, and Peter's talking about how great it was, and he's trying to, get to this fest. Why didn't mention nothing about the car wash and all that? Which that was a hilarious scene in its own. But then he's gonna give him some of the beer from Quahog, and then Homer takes a drink of it, and then he talks about how that beer copied Duff, and then Peter's arguing with them like, no, they might have been inspired by Duff, and then, everybody's starting to yell at Peter, and he's like, no, maybe Duff copied this beer, and, then it started, getting into this big old, collision between, the Simpson characters and the Family Guy characters. And then we get to the courtroom scene where you got all the characters and a special appearance by a star who's been absent for quite a while. I'll get to that in a minute, but there, Peter and the jury worked for getting sued for supposedly copying Duff, and Peter's mad and saying Homer stabbed him in the back. Then you get all the rest of the Family Guy characters, then you get all the Simpson characters, and then someone says something about, how a lot of the Family Guy characters are modeled off the Simpson characters. You have like the two James Woodses, the Simpsons version of James Woods, the Family Guy version of James Woods. You got the cops, Meg and Lisa, Quagmire, and one of the guys, I forgot which character. The mayors, Adam West and the other mayor, but them two clicked well too. So they were talking about something, and then they go take off out of place with each other. And then the verdict comes and all that. And the guy who was the judge was Fred Flintstone, and Fred Flintstone said something about the beer that he liked, which I think it was Stone something. And that was pretty clever by Seth MacFarlane, because he is supposed to be working on a new Flintstones cartoon. I don't know when it's coming out. I haven't heard anything about the release of it yet, but I think that's how the Fred Flintstones go look, is what you've seen in that episode. And then get to the point where they're all getting ready to leave, and then somehow or another, Homer and Peter run into each other and just start brawling out, which It looked like the freaking. It looked like the fights that Peter had with the chicken. It just had Homer, and generated in there instead of the chicken. And they're fighting everywhere. They end up in the spaceship with the two aliens. Then out of nowhere, American Dad, Roger pops up, and then they knock Roger and the other two aliens out. Then they crash the ship. Like they're still fighting in that, and the ship's like on this mountain. Then like Homer, I think Peter gets Homer down first for a minute, then Homer gets Peter down, and then then they get him down again, and then Homer gets him down again, and then the ship's going to fall, and Homer says something, I forgot what he said, as the ship's falling, and Peter says something, kicks him, bites him in the freaking Johnson area, throws him down, and Homer gets squished by the spaceship, and I was at this point I was starting to get mad because, first of all, yeah, I know it's the Family Guy show, and they're going to have their guy win, but, the fact that it seemed like they were going to kill Homer off, which I thought was stupid, and the Simpsons episode earlier in the night, I kind of touched on the thing about, a possibility of Homer dying, and Lisa was worried about it. So I was getting kind of mad that they're going to kill Homer off, and I was going to really become a Peter Griffin hater because Homer is hilarious. If it wasn't for Joe, and if it wasn't for how dumb Homer was, there wouldn't probably be a Peter Griffin. But it turns out Homer was hurt, got out, they fight a little bit more, and then they eventually make up, and then you get the end scene where they're all, well, it's not completely the end scene, but they're all talking and saying bye. And I forgot to mention, while Stewie's hanging with Bart, that boy that always hits Bart and goes, ha ha. Stewie sees it and he says, how long has this guy been doing this to you? Bart's like, 20 years. Then Stewie, which I kind of got the gist of what this was a kind of a spoof of. I guess Stewie captured him and all the other enemies Bart had. But he took the bully, the main one, put him in his chair, and it was starting to remind me of the GTA 5 torture scene with Trevor Phillips, the controversial scene that everybody made a big deal about when it really wasn't even that bad as people made it up to be. You see that stuff in movies, and throwing it in a video game that's M-rated for mostly, post-adulthood and adults. But then at the end, Stewie's showing Bart sitting there and talking about how psychotic Stewie is. And Bart sounded like a complete wimp when he was saying that. Lisa gives Meg the styrofoam because she played the saxophone. Sorry about that. Saxophone because she played it real well when Lisa was trying to help her get confidence and show her she was good at something. Even though Peter and them kept saying, Meg, you're not good at anything. And then after she gives it to her and that Peter takes it and says, oh, we ain't got room to carry on nothing else, and then throws it in the garbage. And Meg's upset and that. The Family Guy crew goes back to Quahog, and they're talking about Peter's short-lived cartoonist thing. And overall, mostly because I was mad about the Homer Simpson thing, because I thought they were going to kill him off. I give this a 4 out of 5, and I forgot to give my rating for the Turtles review I just did. I'm giving that a 5 out of 5, because that episode was great. And this episode was probably the funniest they've done with Family Guy or Simpsons lately. So, till then, peace out.